What's up, everybody? Patrick from wpbuilderhelper, and today we have some great news. WordPress is adding some functionality that I cannot wait for. If you have a WordPress site, get ready because there's some big changes coming to 5.5. And in this video, we're going to talk about the evolution of what those changes could mean in the future. Not just the minor changes that we're going to see here, but what's coming down the road, because I have a feeling that WordPress is starting to evolve a little bit. So if you're curious and you want to know more what you're going to run into within the next couple of months or weeks, get ready because we're talking about it in this video, and it's some things you haven't heard of, or some things you just don't know are happening, but they are coming. So let's get started. All right, guys, we are back, and here we are. We're at WordPress Tavern, who released this information, and as it turns out, WordPress is planning an XML sitemap. I'm not sure about anybody else, but for those people who don't know, WordPress comes with a lot of functionality that just isn't built into WordPress. It's actually quite frustrating from a web designer perspective because there's so many plugins that you have to add to WordPress right from the start. And one of the most notorious plugins is the XML Sitemap plugin. For some reason, almost every other platform out there that exists, from Drupal to Joma to Squarespace to Wix, they all have this feature built in. It's built in. I'm not sure why WordPress is taking so long to build it, but as it turns out, a team, it says, created by Google, Yoast, and other contributors, basically want to add it as core, and I just think that that is super smart. We need to have the sitemap built into WordPress. It needs to, for me, there are like a list of features of things that WordPress needs. One of them being SEO capable backend. It needs to have it. We shouldn't have to rely on Yoast or something like that. Now, if there wants to be extended functionality, then there should be extended functionality, but you should be able to adjust things like your sitemap and your blog description, your title tags, those type of things without needing a plugin to do it. Now, the other things that these plugins add, that's fine. If you want to add in extra functionality, such as content analyzing or backlink checkers or anything like that, I understand that. That's cool. But I feel like those basic things WordPress needs. It also needs, to me, security. I wish that they were saying something about security. The fact that WordPress does not have built-in two-factor authentication nowadays is just absolutely crazy. It's nuts. Why doesn't it have it when everything else does? But regardless of that, I think that this is a step in the right direction. WordPress, you can see it says here that lead Matt says it makes a lot of sense, and I look forward to seeing version 1 of this in the core. So apparently, like, this is going to be, realistically, the release goal is 5.5. So by 5.5, we could see an XML sitemap that's already included with WordPress. Now, there are at least one concern that I've seen with this is, what happens if you already have a sitemap installed? That's going to be the big question, because Google doesn't know what to do with two sitemaps, and a lot of times both of them would get crawled. And so, you know, we need to see what happens with that. But I'm sure there's going to be something in the core that allows you to turn it off and say, hey, I'm using it with this plugin or whatever. But for those people who don't have sitemaps or don't know anything about that, it's just going to be one less thing that we have to install, and one less thing that the SEO companies need to have in their plugins. And I think that that is an excellent, excellent thing. So now we move on to another feature that WordPress is installing. And in this one, it is the search engine journal that posts it. In WordPress 5.4, they're adding lazy loading to all images. Once again, this is a feature that is sometimes, this is in caching plugins. And what this basically allows you to do is if an image is not in your viewpoint, then it loads it as soon as you scroll to that point, which means, if you had an image down here, person up here is not going to see it, but as soon as they scroll, that image then starts to load on the page. And this dynamically helps with page speed. It's something that should be included. It should be in here. It's very easy to include, but it's mainly handled by JavaScript and third-party plugins, as you can see down here. And like I said, a lot of cache-in plugins such as Swift or WP Rocket typically have this installed so that you can take and do it. It's one of the things that most people look for whenever they get a cache-in plugin, is to have lazy loading, because Google has put such an emphasis on making sure that your images lazy load. And so these are two giant things. They may not seem like big things, but they are. WordPress is adding these to the core. Now, think about it. If they're starting to add this, they're starting to make Gutenberg, which is taking on page builders. Where do you think WordPress is going? It seems to me like they're trying to compete with the Wix and the Squarespace and all that more and more every day. And I think that they're hearing the community, and they're finally starting to add in things that we need as a community. And I think that it's really cool that they're adding these little things in, even if they're not something that the average user would know about. I think it's important. I think it's something that we need to have as a community. These type of things will excel WordPress, and I think that WordPress, we're only going to see it evolve more and more and more as time goes on. These are two giant things in such a small time. 5.4 has got lazy loading. 5.5 may have XML sitemaps. Where's WordPress going to stop? By 6.0, we might have security built into WordPress. We might have two-factor authentication. There's no telling. I mean, that's really cool that we're starting to see these things catch up that a lot of people are using plugins for. And that's also going to help you reduce your site speed whenever it comes to taking and installing plugins you don't need. I know a bunch of people who install in the Google XML Sitemap. There's no reason for it. If WordPress has got it in core, you don't ever have to touch it, and that's a great thing. Let me know your thoughts and comments below. I know this is a small video, but I just kind of wanted to get your feedback on it. I think it's really cool. They're two very, very important features, and I, for one, cannot wait. I'm so excited to see this kind of stuff in core, and I think it's going to make a huge difference in the long run. So if you like this video, go ahead and click like down below and subscribe and do all that great stuff, and I'll keep the news coming. All right? See you guys later.